In an agile environment, your team is midway through a sprint, working on several features for a new software product when a key stakeholder requests a significant change to the feature based on new customer feedback. What is the most appropriate action for the team to take? Now, if you are new to Agile, you will believe Agile is all about change. So what is difficult here? We just need to change it, because Agile is all about responding to the change. If you have been studying Agile for a while, you understand that we do want to respond to the change, but we also want to bring some order, else we may remain confused. And in the Agile ways of working, time-boxed Agile ways of working, it is recommended not to do too many drastic changes when you start the sprint. You better do it on sprint boundaries. You should not be changing your goal, your direction once you start the sprint until unless it gets over or you take some exceptional situation there. Sometimes you just restart the sprint. So it is a little tricky thing where we want to respond, but we don't probably just right away start responding to it. So we need to see the options carefully. It's not that simple. Option A, ignore the stakeholders' request until the current sprint is completed and review it in the next sprint planning session. So two issues here. One is that word ignore has been said. You probably don't want to ignore a stakeholder request. You may want to acknowledge it. Acknowledge the stakeholder request and say we will do it as a part of backlog refinement and we'll plan it next. Probably could have made it better. Can I definitely follow this idea if I say just change the language and says I acknowledge, but I will do it later? Then it's a candidate option. It's a candidate option, but I can do something better also before I decide to do it later. I can say I acknowledge, I probably analyze, and then say we do it now or we do it later. That would have been a better option. Let's see option B. Evaluate the impact of the requested change immediately, and if significant, consider incorporating them in the current sprint if it does not disrupt the sprint goal. So it has two elements which are good. One is that it is focusing on evaluating. And it is also trying to see evaluating the business value of it. Impact, that the word was not clear, impact is on the development or impact on the business. So in the absence of that clarity, I am interpreting it is more about impact on the business. So we can say that we evaluate what is the change, we see what is the impact, and if I am not disturbing my sprint goal, I probably, and still I can do it, I will do it. Now there's a very important point. The point which Scrum by default promotes, and we can also take it in the Agile ways of working, the sprint goal is something you set a direction in your beginning in the planning meeting, and then you start sprint planning meeting and you start working on those work items, many a time called user stories. The user stories are expected to be user stories / features. The items are expected to be negotiable items. They are not like frozen baseline items. So if we go along and if some new discovery happens, we can incorporate it. But at the same time, we don't want to miss the current sprint goal. So option B looks great until unless we get super better option than this. Let's see option C. Immediately implement the change without evaluating their impact on the current sprint's workload or goals. This is I could have created a better option because this looks clearly out. So I think update the product backlog and prioritize the change for the future sprints without disrupting the current sprint. So this is a better than A. So if we compare A and D, D is better. But if I already have a B, then I'm going with that. If I don't have a B and I only have A, C, and D, I have to choose out of these three, then the D is better. So the first is B, the second is D, and then probably the A is anyway, A and C are nowhere an option. I can't ignore it and I can't implement without doing anything else. So I need to do something before I decide to do or not to do. So you understand that we do focus on achieving this sprint goal, but we are flexible. If we can incorporate something without missing the sprint goal, we should be doing it during the sprint. So for this question, we go with option B. As far as mapping with PMP exam content outline, ECO, we know that this maps to task 10, manage project changes. Yes, even in the Agile, you manage project changes with the help of continuous backlog refinement and collaboration. In predictive life cycle, you manage with the change control and change control system and board and all those things. Here you manage it with the collaborative approach, but still change is change. Topic is we learn about change control in Agile, and we also learn about sprint goal and change or no change during the sprint.